Alien visitor? Humanoid creature? A man in black? A trick of the imagination? Or perhaps all of these things at once? This figure, whispered about in strange encounters, is known by many names, but most who have seen him agree on one title: above all, aliens, conspiracies, unknown creatures, phantoms, inexplicable deaths, strange dimensions. For as long as humans have told stories, figures like the Grinning Man have haunted the edges of our understanding. But let's rewind. Go back to when you were a child, a time of scraped knees, pocket money, and weekends filled with boundless imagination. Back then, shadows seemed alive. The dark corner of your room could hide anything, and for most kids, the dark was terrifying. Sometimes it felt like someone, was staring back at you. Folklore all over the world is filled with boogeymen, beings that prey on children after sundown. In every town, there's usually at least one urban legend. Maybe it was a reclusive figure who lived in a crumbling house at the end of the street, or a shape in the woods that always seemed to watch from the tree line. Perhaps a gaunt, pale creature that fed only on the young. Whatever it was, you likely grew out of those fears as you aged. Your parents told you monsters weren't real, and, after a while, you believed them. But what if they were wrong? Because every year, across the globe, people continued to report terrifying encounters with beings they describe as monsters. The list of alleged sightings is endless. Aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, the Wendigo, skinwalkers, black-eyed children, chupacabra, dogman, mothman, lizard people, pigman, shadowy men in black. Yet among them, there is one that stands apart. Witnesses insist he is among the most frightening entities you could meet on a lonely night. They call him the Grinning Man. Unlike other legends, the Grinning Man doesn't just appear on dark roads or in forests. Witnesses claim he sometimes enters people's homes while they sleep and watches them. At first glance, his appearance doesn't sound as menacing as some monsters. He doesn't have glowing eyes like a gray alien or the massive bulk of a Sasquatch. He doesn't show rows of sharp teeth like a werewolf, but the details are what make him horrifying. Most say he stands well over 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered and muscular. His head is bald, his features smooth and unnatural. His small, round eyes are oddly spaced apart, perched awkwardly above a stub of a nose. He wears a reflective, skin-tight suit, like metallic foil stretched across his body. And then, there's the smile. Witnesses describe it as wide, unrelenting, and completely devoid of warmth. His lips curl in a way that suggests menace rather than joy, a smile that doesn't touch the eyes. The sight of it leaves people frozen with terror, as though staring directly at death itself. The first well-documented sighting occurred in Elizabeth, New Jersey on October 11, 1966. 2 boys, Martin Munoz and James Yanchitis, were walking home from the movies around 9:45 p.m. Their path took them down a street running beneath a raised highway. It wasn't a safe part of town, especially at night. The area was poorly lit, with only faint glimmers from distant street lamps. A chain-link fence bordered one side, beyond which a steep slope dropped back to the highway above. Earlier that evening, they had overheard talk of a strange, towering figure in a green outfit who had chased a local woman. The boys laughed it off until they noticed movement in the shadows near the fence. "Who's that?" James whispered. Both turned to see a tall figure in a shiny green suit. He seemed utterly fixated on a house across the street. But then, after a few seconds, the man turned and looked at them. The boys later said his face was the strangest they had ever seen. Unnatural. Not human. Terrified, they ran. Behind them, they swore the figure kept grinning. Not long after, famed Paranormal writer John Keel came to investigate, following reports of a UFO sighting nearby the same night. He interviewed both boys separately. Their stories matched perfectly, and thus the legend of the Grinning Man entered recorded lore. Less than a month later, another case emerged, this time in West Virginia. On November 2, 1966, a sewing machine, Salesman named Woodrow Derenberger was driving home along Interstate 77. Suddenly, an object descended from the sky and blocked the road ahead. A door opened. From the craft stepped a tall figure in a shiny one-piece suit. He had a fixed, exaggerated grin across his face. The figure approached Derenberger's vehicle and, to his astonishment, began communicating telepathically. He introduced himself as Indrid Cold. He asked odd questions about the lights of a distant town, about local people. Then he thanked Derenberger, promised they would meet again, and returned to his craft. Within weeks, reports of the infamous Mothman began. In nearby Point Pleasant, many still wonder if Indrid Cold and the Grinning Man were somehow connected to that wave of sightings. During the height of the Mothman panic, another chilling encounter was reported. The Lilly family, living near Point Pleasant, claimed their home was plagued by poltergeist activity. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed, lights appeared in the sky. But the most frightening incident happened to their young daughter, Linda. In the early hours of December 14, 1966, she awoke to a strange clicking sound. At the foot of her bed stood a tall man. I couldn't see his face clearly, she later said, but I knew he was smiling at me. He circled her bed, stopping just inches away. Linda screamed and hid under the covers. When she peeked again, the figure was gone. She refused to sleep in her room for weeks afterward. From late 1966 to early 1967, reports surfaced in Provincetown of a mysterious prowler. Witnesses described him as tall, muscular, and always grinning. Local newspapers covered the strange burglaries, though many details remain buried in archives. The Grinning Man is not limited to America. In November 1972, Mary Elizabeth McRae, who lived with her husband in Dunkeld, Scotland, had an encounter that haunted her for life. That night, Mary woke to the sound of clicking. Paralyzed, she realized she could not move or speak. The curtains she had shut were now wide open, and in the corner of the window, a face was watching. Small, dark eyes. A wide, malevolent grin. Mary felt herself lifting from the bed, floating toward the window. She tried to scream, but no sound escaped. She blacked out. The next morning, she woke with a splitting headache that lasted for days. The curtains were still open. Until her death in 2013, Mary insisted the memory was real. So who or what is the Grinning Man? Is he one entity or many? A spirit, an alien, or something else entirely? Some believe he is linked to the mysterious men in black, who are often described as unnatural figures with strange smiles. Others suspect alien abduction. The clicking sound reported by both Linda Lilly and Mary McRae is common in abduction accounts. Even more intriguing, the name Indrid Cold has surfaced repeatedly in such cases. In Italy, December 1979, a man named Pier Zanfretta, who claimed repeated abductions by reptilian beings, said he was approached by a grinning man, who identified himself as none other than Indrid Cold. Meanwhile, Woodrow Derenberger continued to insist he met Cold multiple times after 1966. He even claimed to have met two more of these beings, Demo Hassan and Carl Ardo. His wife later confirmed seeing them too, though she believed they were malevolent. Some theorists suggest the Grinning Man, Indrid Cold, and Mothman are all part of the same phenomenon, perhaps even members of a single race of shape-shifting entities, capable of appearing as aliens, cryptids, or government agents. Others argue that John Keel himself may have exaggerated or misinterpreted the cases. After all, he was the first to bring both Mothman and the Grinning Man into popular awareness. Were the accounts real or embellished? Regardless, one fact remains. Reports of the Grinning Man continue to this day. The encounters share uncanny similarities. Always winter or early spring. Always the same physical description. Always the smile. Perhaps coincidence? Perhaps not. Whether demon, alien, or trick of the mind, the Grinning Man has cemented his place in paranormal history. So the next time you walk home alone at night or wake to a strange sound in your bedroom, Pray you never lock eyes with a towering figure in a shiny suit, his lips curled into a smile that means only one thing: cold.